Welcome to Golden Haven. Tonight's story is The Last Lighthouse Keeper of May. Get comfortable, close your eyes, and let's begin. Episode 18. The Lighthouse That Whispered to the Sea. The light that never slept. Far beyond the quiet villages, where gentle cliffs met the endless sea, stood an ancient lighthouse. It had watched over the ocean for longer than anyone could remember. Every evening, just as the sun slipped below the horizon, its warm golden light awakened. The great lantern slowly turned, sending its peaceful beam across the rolling waves. Sailors smiled whenever they saw it. Fishermen quietly whispered, "We're home." No ship had ever been lost while the lighthouse's light shone across the sea. Yet there was something very few people knew. The lighthouse was alive, not in the way birds or trees are alive, but in a quieter way. It listened. Every night, it listened to the whispers of the sea. The waves carried thousands of stories. Stories of distant islands. Stories of forgotten ships. Stories of lonely travelers searching for home. The lighthouse remembered every single one. Inside the tall stone tower lived an elderly lighthouse keeper named Captain Rowan. His beard was silver like the moonlight upon the sea. His hands were weathered from many years of climbing the winding staircase to light the great lantern. Every evening, before sunset, he polished the great glass lens until it sparkled like crystal. Then he would gently say, "Tonight, let our light guide every weary heart." One peaceful autumn evening, a young girl named Mira climbed the narrow path leading toward the lighthouse. She carried a small basket filled with warm bread her grandmother had baked. The salty breeze played with her long brown hair as she knocked softly upon the old wooden door. Captain Rowan opened it with a warm smile. "Good evening. I brought you fresh bread," Mira said shyly. The old keeper smiled kindly. "And you've brought something even sweeter." "What?" "A reason to smile." Mira laughed softly as they shared warm bread beside the glowing lantern room. The sea remained unusually calm. Too calm. Captain Rowan slowly looked toward the horizon. His gentle smile faded. "The sea is trying to tell us something." Mira listened carefully. At first, she heard only the quiet waves. Then, very far away, a faint sound drifted across the water. Not thunder, not wind. It sounded almost like someone quietly calling for help. Captain Rowan stood immediately. He carefully lit the great lighthouse lantern. Its golden beams stretched across the darkening sea, brighter than ever before. Far beyond the horizon, a tiny light answered, then disappeared. Mira looked toward the endless ocean. "Someone's out there." Captain Rowan nodded. "Yes, and tonight, the lighthouse is whispering us toward a brand new story. The little boat beyond the mist." The great lighthouse lantern turned slowly above the cliffs, its warm golden beams sweeping across the calm evening sea. Captain Rowan and Mira stood silently beside the tall windows, watching the distant horizon. For a brief moment, the tiny light appeared again. It flickered once, then disappeared behind a blanket of silver mist. Mira held her breath. It vanished. Captain Rowan nodded thoughtfully. No light truly disappears. Sometimes it is simply hidden. The old keeper reached for a polished brass telescope resting beside the lantern. He carefully looked toward the sea. The mist had grown thicker than before. It rolled gently across the water like a soft white blanket. "I can't see the boat," he said quietly. But I can hear the sea. Mira listened carefully. The waves no longer sounded calm. They whispered softly against the rocks below, almost as if they were trying to guide someone safely home. Captain Rowan smiled gently. The sea has its own language. It speaks to those who choose to listen. He placed the telescope into Myra's hands. Would you like to try? Mira looked through the shining glass. At first, she saw only endless water. Then, far beyond the drifting mist, she noticed something small, a tiny wooden boat. It floated quietly upon the waves. Its little lantern had almost gone out. There, Mira whispered excitedly. I see it. Captain Rowan looked through the telescope and nodded. A fishing boat, and it's drifting away from the safe waters. The old keeper climbed the final few steps to the great lantern. With careful hands, he adjusted the enormous crystal lens. Instantly, the lighthouse beam became brighter. Its golden light stretched farther across the sea than ever before. The beam touched the drifting mist. Instead of blocking the light, the mist shimmered like silver silk, gently opening a narrow path across the water. Mira watched in amazement. The lighthouse made a road. Captain Rowan smiled. No, the sea remembered the way. Far away, the tiny fishing boat slowly turned. Its little lantern answered with a single warm flash. The captain aboard had finally seen the guiding light. A peaceful sigh escaped Mira. They're coming home. Captain Rowan rested a gentle hand upon the old stone wall. Every night, this lighthouse whispers only one message. What message? Mira asked. The old keeper looked toward the endless sea. No matter how far you've wandered, there is always a light waiting to guide you home, beyond the quiet mist. The little fishing boat continued following the golden beam, but neither Mira nor Captain Rowan noticed another shadow much farther out at sea. Something much older and far more mysterious had also awakened beneath the waves. The song Beneath the Waves. The little fishing boat continued following the warm, golden beam of the lighthouse. Slowly, the thick silver mist began to drift apart. The frightened sailors smiled with relief as the familiar cliffs appeared in the distance. They're safe, Mira whispered. Captain Rowan nodded, but his eyes remained fixed on the horizon. There is still another story unfolding tonight. The sea had become strangely quiet once again. Even the waves seemed to move more gently, as if they were waiting. Then, a soft melody rose from beneath the water. It wasn't the sound of the wind, nor the cry of a seabird. It was a beautiful, peaceful song, floating across the ocean like a lullaby. Mira listened carefully. Someone is singing. Captain Rowan smiled gently. The sea remembers its oldest songs. He slowly led Mira down the winding staircase of the lighthouse. Together, they walked across the moonlit beach where tiny shells sparkled like little stars. The waves rolled softly onto the shore, leaving delicate patterns in the sand before quietly slipping back into the sea. The mysterious melody grew clearer. It was calm, gentle, filled with hope, as though the ocean itself was welcoming every traveler home. Suddenly, a tiny silver sea turtle appeared near the water's edge. It struggled to move across the wet sand. One of its flippers had become tangled in a piece of old fishing rope carried in by the tide. "Oh no," Mira said softly. She hurried forward and carefully knelt beside the little turtle. "Don't be afraid." With patient hands, she gently untied the rope without hurting the frightened animal. Captain Rowan watched quietly. "Kindness is the brightest light," he said. The little turtle blinked at Mira with grateful eyes. Then, before returning to the sea, it gently touched her hand with its tiny nose. At that very moment, the mysterious song beneath the waves became brighter and warmer. The ocean began to shimmer with thousands of tiny blue lights. One by one, they rose from beneath the surface like glowing stars. Tiny fish swam through the sparkling water. Gentle dolphins leaped gracefully through the glowing waves. Even the seashells along the shore began to glow with a soft silver light. Mira looked around in amazement. "It's like the whole ocean is smiling." Captain Rowan looked toward the moonlit sea. "It is thanking you." Far beyond the glowing water, a single ancient bell rang from somewhere beneath the waves. Its deep, peaceful sound echoed across the entire ocean. Captain Rowan's smile slowly faded. He whispered almost to himself, "The bell of the deep. I haven't heard it in many, many years." Mira looked toward the endless sea. "What does it mean?" The old lighthouse keeper gazed into the glowing horizon. "It means someone beneath the ocean is asking for our help." The lighthouse beam continued sweeping across the waves, and far below the surface, a hidden light quietly awakened in the darkness. The hidden kingdom beneath the waves. The deep, peaceful sound of the ancient bell slowly faded into the night. For a long moment, neither Mira nor Captain Rowan spoke. Only the gentle rhythm of the waves filled the quiet shoreline. Mira looked toward the dark ocean. The bell sounded lonely. Captain Rowan nodded. "It has always rung for only one reason. When someone beneath the sea needs hope." The old keeper carefully picked up his weathered lantern. Unlike the great lighthouse above the cliffs, this small lantern glowed with a soft golden light that never flickered, even in the strongest wind. "My grandfather gave me this lantern," he said. "He told me it could guide more than ships. It can also guide hearts." As they followed the shoreline, the lantern began to glow brighter. Tiny seashells scattered across the sand shimmered like little pearls. The tide slowly rolled back, revealing something hidden beneath the water. A narrow path of smooth white stones appeared, stretching out into the sea. Myra's eyes widened. "A path." Captain Rowan smiled gently. "It only appears when the ocean trusts its visitors." Without fear, they stepped onto the glowing pathway. The sea remained perfectly calm on both sides. Schools of tiny silver fish swam beside them, their scales sparkling beneath the moonlight. Above them, seabirds circled silently, as if watching over their journey. The path led farther and farther into the ocean until they reached a circle of ancient rocks rising from the water. At the center stood an enormous crystal shell. Its surface shimmered with blue and silver light. Suddenly, the shell slowly opened. Inside rested a glowing pearl unlike anything Mira had ever seen. It was as large as a lantern. Its gentle light pulsed slowly, almost like a peaceful heartbeat. But something was wrong. Tiny cracks had begun to spread across its glowing surface. Captain Rowan lowered his head respectfully. "The heart pearl of the sea," Mira whispered. "Is it hurt?" Before the old keeper could answer, a graceful figure rose gently from the water. She wore a flowing gown the color of the deep ocean. Her long silver blue hair drifted like waves in the gentle tide. Around her neck hung a necklace made of tiny moon pearls. Her eyes were calm and filled with ancient wisdom. She smiled kindly at Mira. I am Narina, guardian of the Whispering Sea. Her voice was softer than the evening breeze. The heart pearl is growing weak, and when its light fades, the sea will forget the songs that lead every traveler safely home. Mira looked at the glowing pearl with concern. Can we help? Narina smiled warmly. I believe that is exactly why the lighthouse whispered to you. Far above them, the lighthouse's golden beams stretched across the night sky. Far below, the heart pearl answered with one faint pulse of blue light. The two lights, one above the sea and one beneath it, seemed to call to each other as if they had been waiting many years to meet again. And deep within the quiet ocean, the greatest adventure of all was just beginning. The pearl that remembered every voyage. The heart pearl rested quietly inside the giant crystal shell. Its soft blue light flickered gently, growing dimmer with each passing moment. Mira stepped closer. She could almost hear it, not with her ears, but with her heart. It sounded like the distant rhythm of gentle waves meeting the shore. It's singing, she whispered. Narina smiled softly. Yes, the heart pearl remembers every ship that has ever found its way home. Captain Rowan removed his weathered cap and bowed respectfully before the glowing pearl. My father once told me about it. He said every act of kindness upon the sea becomes part of its life. Narina nodded. And every act of fear, anger, or neglect causes its song to grow quieter. Mira looked thoughtfully at the tiny cracks spreading across the pearl. Can it be repaired? The guardian of the sea placed her hand gently upon the crystal shell. It cannot be repaired with tools, nor with magic alone. It must be healed by hope. At that moment, a tiny seahorse swam hurriedly toward them. It circled Narina before stopping beside the pearl. In its little fins, it carried a faded glass bottle. The bottle was old, covered with tiny seashells and sea moss. Inside was a rolled piece of paper. Captain Rowan carefully opened the bottle. The paper was worn with age, yet the words could still be read. He smiled as he read them aloud. To whoever finds this, if this message reaches you, then the lighthouse has done its job. I was once lost upon a stormy sea. Its light guided me home. From that day forward, I promised to help every traveler I met, just as someone once helped me. The old keeper folded the letter with great care. The message is many years old, but its kindness is still alive. As the final words echoed across the quiet water, one of the tiny cracks upon the heart pearl slowly disappeared. Its blue light grew just a little brighter. Mira smiled. The letter healed it. Narina gently shook her head. Not the letter, the kindness carried inside it. Just then, hundreds of glowing fish appeared from every direction. Each carried a tiny object lost long ago at sea. A wooden toy boat, a silver compass, a sailor's diary, a child's painted shell. Each treasure held a memory of love, courage, or hope. The entire underwater kingdom began glowing with warm blue light. The heart pearl pulsed once, then twice. Its song became stronger. Far above the ocean, the great lighthouse answered with a bright golden beam that reached farther than ever before. Captain Rowan looked toward the shimmering surface of the sea. The lighthouse and the heart pearl. They've always been guiding each other. But before anyone could speak again, the ocean floor trembled ever so gently. From the deepest part of the sea, A massive ancient shadow slowly stirred. Its eyes opened with a calm silver glow. It was not angry. It was not frightening. It had simply been sleeping for a very, very long time. The giant wail of silent songs. The ocean floor trembled ever so gently. Tiny ripples spread across the glowing underwater kingdom. The schools of silver fish became perfectly still. Even the seaweed stopped dancing with the current. The ancient shadow slowly rose from the deep. It was enormous, yet its movements were slow and graceful, like drifting clouds across a peaceful sky. As it came closer, Mira could finally see it clearly. It was a magnificent blue whale. Its skin shimmered with soft silver markings that glowed beneath the sea. Tiny glowing barnacles sparkled along its sides like little stars. Its eyes were large, gentle, and filled with centuries of quiet wisdom. The whale stopped beside the heart pearl. It lowered its great head respectfully. Marina smiled. "Welcome, old friend," Mira whispered. "Who is he?" The guardian of the sea gently placed her hand upon the whale's great fin. "This is Orion, the keeper of silent songs. He has carried the ocean's oldest memories since the first lighthouse was ever built." Captain Rowan removed his cap once again. "My grandfather told me stories about him. I never believed they were true." Orion slowly released a deep, peaceful song. The sound traveled through the water like a gentle lullaby. It wasn't loud. It wasn't frightening. It was comforting. Every note seemed to wrap the sea in warmth. As the melody spread across the underwater kingdom, something wonderful happened. The cracked heart pearl glowed brighter. Tiny cracks began fading away one after another. The coral gardens burst into brilliant colors. Blue, pink, golden, lavender. Sea turtles swam joyfully through the glowing reefs. Tiny jellyfish floated like delicate lanterns beneath the waves. Mira smiled with amazement. "His song is healing everything." Narina nodded. "The ocean remembers kindness through music." But her smile became thoughtful. Orion's song has grown weaker over the years. The great whale slowly lowered his head. His gentle eyes carried a quiet sadness. Captain Rowan stepped closer. "Why?" Narina looked toward the shimmering surface far above. "Long ago, sailors filled the sea with songs. They thanked the ocean. They respected its waves. They listened." She paused for a moment. "But now, the sea grows quieter each year. Fewer voices sing back." Orion released another gentle note. This time it sounded softer, almost lonely. Mira carefully swam closer and placed her small hand against the whale's enormous fin. "Then, we'll sing with you." Captain Rowan smiled warmly. "So no song is ever forgotten." Narina closed her eyes. The heart pearl answered with a bright pulse of blue light. Soon, the lighthouse far above answered with its own golden beam. Blue light, golden light. They met beneath the sea like two old friends reunited after many years. At that very moment, a tiny silver seashell floated into Myra's hands. She held it close to her ear. Instead of hearing the ocean, she heard children's laughter, gentle lullabies, the voices of sailors returning safely home, and countless whispered words of gratitude carried across the waves through generations. Narina smiled. "The sea of whispers has accepted you, but one final journey still awaits. Far beyond the glowing coral kingdom, where the ocean met the horizon, A mysterious island slowly emerged from the morning mist. No map had ever shown it. No sailor had ever forgotten it. It was known only as the island where every lighthouse began. The island where every lighthouse began. The mysterious island slowly rose from the morning mist. At first, it looked like nothing more than a faint shadow resting upon the horizon. But as Orion, the great whale, carried Mira, Captain Rowan, and Marina across the calm sea, its true beauty began to appear. Tall white cliffs sparkled beneath the morning sun. Crystal waterfalls flowed gently into the ocean. Thousands of white seabirds circled peacefully overhead. The air smelled of salt, wildflowers, and fresh rain. Mira smiled softly. "It's beautiful." Captain Rowan gazed at the island with quiet wonder. "I've spent my whole life on the sea, yet I've never seen this place." Marina nodded. "Very few have. The island only reveals itself to those who have followed kindness instead of fear." As they reached the quiet shore, Orion lowered his great head. The gentle whale sang one final peaceful note before disappearing beneath the waves. His glowing silver markings slowly faded into the deep blue sea. "We'll see him again," Mira whispered. Marina smiled. The sea never truly says goodbye. A winding stone path led from the beach toward the center of the island. Along both sides stood hundreds of tiny lanterns. None of them burned with fire. Instead, each lantern glowed with a soft golden light, as though it held a peaceful memory inside. Mira stopped beside one of them. Inside, she could see the image of a young sailor embracing his family after returning safely home. Another lantern showed an old fisherman rescuing a frightened seabird tangled in a fishing net. Another revealed children laughing as they helped repair a broken wooden boat. Captain Rowan looked around in amazement. "Every lantern tells a story." Marina gently nodded. Each light was born from an act of kindness upon the sea. They never fade. The path finally opened into a magnificent garden overlooking the endless ocean. At its center stood the oldest lighthouse any of them had ever seen. It was taller than the cliffs. Its white stone walls shimmered like polished pearl. Its great crystal lantern glowed with a warm golden light, even beneath the bright morning sky. Around the lighthouse, countless white roses bloomed, their petals gently dancing in the ocean breeze. Mira quietly whispered, "So this is where every lighthouse began." Captain Rowan slowly climbed the ancient stone steps. As he reached the great wooden door, it opened by itself. No one stood behind it. Only a warm golden light filled the entrance. A calm voice echoed gently through the tower. "Welcome, keepers of hope." The voice wasn't loud. It wasn't frightening. It sounded as peaceful as the sea itself. Inside the lighthouse, a spiral staircase wound upward toward the glowing lantern room. On every wall hung beautiful paintings of lighthouse keepers from centuries past. Some were young, some were old. Some stood beside stormy seas. Others smiled beneath peaceful sunsets. Yet every painting shared one thing. Each keeper carried the same small golden lantern that Captain Rowan held in his hands. He looked down at his lantern in surprise. "My family's lantern." Marina smiled. "It was never just a lantern. It is part of the first light." Just then, the little lantern in Captain Rowan's hand began to glow brighter than ever before. Its warm light floated gently into the air. as if it recognized the ancient lighthouse as its true home. Far above them, the great crystal beacon slowly awakened. Its light reached across the endless sea, touching every lighthouse on every distant shore. And at that very moment, every lighthouse in the world answered with a single peaceful beam of light. The ocean shimmered like a sky filled with golden stars. The journey was becoming something far greater than any of them had imagined. The room of endless beacons. The warm golden light from the first lighthouse filled every corner of the ancient tower. Captain Rowan, Mira, and Narina climbed the spiral staircase in peaceful silence. Each stone step felt smooth beneath their feet, polished by countless lighthouse keepers who had walked there over the centuries. The little lantern in Captain Rowan's hands glowed brighter with every step. It no longer seemed like an ordinary lantern. It pulsed gently, as though it had a heartbeat of its own. Finally, they reached the lantern room. Mira stopped in amazement. The room was unlike anything she had ever imagined. It had no walls. Instead, it was surrounded by crystal windows stretching in every direction. Beyond them, the endless sea shimmered beneath the morning sun. At the center of the room floated an enormous crystal flame. It wasn't made of fire. It was made of pure golden light. Its glow was warm, peaceful, and comforting. "This," Mira whispered, "is beautiful." Narina smiled. "This is the eternal beacon. It has guided every lighthouse since the first sailor crossed the sea." Captain Rowan slowly approached the glowing flame. As he did, the little lantern in his hands lifted gently into the air. It floated toward the eternal beacon without making a sound. The two lights met. For a single breathtaking moment, the entire room shone like a sunrise. Outside, the ocean sparkled with millions of tiny golden reflections. Far across distant shores, every lighthouse answered once again. Their beams crossed the seas like shining ribbons of hope. Mira looked through the crystal windows. "I can see them. Hundreds. No, thousands of tiny lights stretched across the world. Some stood beside towering cliffs. Others guarded quiet islands. Some overlooked snowy coastlines. Others watched tropical shores lined with palm trees. Every lighthouse burned with the same warm golden light. "The sea connects them all," Captain Rowan whispered. Narina nodded. "And every keeper is part of the same promise." Just then, a soft breeze drifted through the lantern room. Tiny glowing feathers of light floated around them. Each feather carried a whisper. "Welcome home. Safe journey. Thank you. We'll always find our way." They were the grateful words of sailors from every generation. Words spoken long ago, yet still alive within the eternal beacon. Mira closed her eyes and listened. The voices weren't sad. They were peaceful, full of gratitude. Then something unexpected happened. The great crystal flame flickered, only for a moment, but Captain Rowan noticed. So did Narina. "The beacon," she whispered. "It's growing weaker." The room fell silent. "How can that be?" Mira asked. Narina looked toward the horizon with quiet concern. "The eternal beacon has guided the seas for thousands of years. But even the oldest light must sometimes be renewed." Captain Rowan looked at the glowing lantern floating beside the crystal flame. "What renews it?" Narina smiled gently. "Not oil, not fire, not magic." She placed a hand over her heart. It is renewed by the courage to guide others, even when no one knows your name. As she spoke, a small doorway slowly appeared behind the eternal beacon. Beyond it stretched a narrow bridge of crystal light leading into the clouds. At the end of the bridge, a single lantern hung alone, shining with a faint silver glow. The keeper of the first lighthouse had left one final task, and only hearts filled with kindness could complete it. The lantern at the edge of the sky. The narrow bridge of crystal light stretched into the clouds. Each step shimmered like a piece of the morning sky, glowing softly beneath Captain Rowan, Mira, and Narina's feet. Beyond the bridge hung a single silver lantern. It swayed gently, though there was no wind. Its light was faint, almost as if it were waiting for someone. Mira looked at it curiously. "Why is it here all alone?" Narina smiled. "It is called the Lantern of the First Promise. It was lit by the very first lighthouse keeper, and it has never gone out." Captain Rowan gazed at the lantern with quiet reverence. "My grandfather used to tell me that every lighthouse keeper makes a promise." Narina nodded. "They do. They promise to keep shining, even on nights when no one sees their light." The three travelers continued across the crystal bridge. Below them, the ocean stretched endlessly, calm and blue. From that great height, the waves looked like soft folds of silk. Seabirds soared peacefully beneath the bridge, their white wings sparkling in the sunlight. When they reached the silver lantern, Mira noticed something unusual. The glass was covered with tiny names, thousands of them. Some were written in elegant handwriting. Others looked as though they had been carefully carved by hand. "Whose names are these?" she whispered. Captain Rowan gently traced one with his finger. "I think they're the names of lighthouse keepers." Narina smiled warmly. "Every keeper who has ever guided a soul safely home leaves their name here. But not because they sought recognition, because kindness is never forgotten." Just then, the silver lantern flickered. Its glow grew dimmer. A single tiny flame remained. Mira looked worried. "Is it going out?" Narina shook her head. "No, it is waiting for another promise." Captain Rowan stood quietly before the lantern. He removed his weathered cap. Closing his eyes, he spoke in a calm voice. "I promise to keep my light burning for every traveler, to welcome every soul seeking home, and to never let fear extinguish hope." As his words drifted into the peaceful sky, the tiny silver flame burst into a brilliant golden light. The lantern shone brighter than ever before. At the same moment, Captain Rowan's name slowly appeared upon the glass, glowing with warm golden letters. Mira smiled with tears of joy. "It accepted your promise." The old keeper smiled humbly. "It accepted all those who came before me." Then, to everyone's surprise, the lantern turned toward Mira. Its gentle light wrapped around her like a warm embrace. A tiny silver feather floated from the lantern into her hands. Narina's eyes sparkled. "The lantern has chosen you, too." Mira looked down at the feather. "What does that mean?" The guardian of the sea smiled. "It means you don't have to live in a lighthouse to become a keeper of light. A kind word, a helping hand, a heart that welcomes others. These are lights that never fade." Far below, the eternal beacon blazed more brightly than ever. Across the oceans, every lighthouse answered with a radiant beam. Yet beyond the endless sea, a dark storm cloud was slowly gathering on the horizon. Not a storm of anger, but one of sorrow. Somewhere, a lonely ship had lost its way, and for the first time in many years, the lighthouse that whispered to the sea called out once again. Its next whisper carried only one message: guide them home. The storm that had forgotten the light. Far beyond the peaceful horizon, dark clouds slowly gathered above the sea. They did not flash with lightning. They did not roar with thunder. Instead, they drifted silently across the water, covering the sunlight with a quiet gray shadow. Mira looked toward the distant storm. It feels sad. Marina nodded gently. Not every storm is born from anger. Some are born from loneliness. Captain Rowan lifted his brass telescope. Far beyond the waves, he spotted a small sailing ship. Its white sails hung motionless. Its mast lantern had gone dark. The ship drifted slowly in circles, unable to find its way. They've lost the light, he said softly. The eternal beacon glowed behind them, but its golden rays could not yet reach the lonely vessel. The sorrowful mist around the ship was too thick. Mira held the silver feather tightly. There must be something we can do. Just then, the lantern of the first promise released a single golden spark. It floated gently through the air before settling upon the silver feather in Myra's hand. The feather transformed. Tiny golden stars shimmered along its edges. Marina smiled. The feather has become a compass of hope. It never points north. It always points toward the heart that needs kindness the most. The glowing feather slowly turned. Its tip pointed directly toward the lost ship. Captain Rowan smiled warmly. Then we know where we're needed. At that very moment, the great whale Orion rose peacefully from the sea below. His silver markings glowed brighter than ever. Without a word, he lowered his enormous back beside the crystal bridge. An invitation. The three travelers climbed aboard. With one graceful movement, Orion slipped across the waves. The sea welcomed him like an old friend. As they traveled, dolphins appeared beside them. Sea turtles joined the journey. Above, white seabirds circled in perfect harmony. It was as though the entire ocean had come together to guide one lost ship home. Hours later, they reached the edge of the silent storm. Everything became strangely quiet. The waves barely moved. The wind had disappeared. Only the lonely ship drifted through the gray mist. Its captain stood at the bow, staring helplessly into the fog. "I can't find the lighthouse," he whispered. Mira carefully raised the glowing feather. Its golden light pierced the mist like the first ray of sunrise. Slowly, the gray clouds began to part. A narrow path of shimmering water appeared before the ship. At the far end of that path, the warm golden beam of the lighthouse shone steadily across the sea. The sailors looked up with joyful tears. "We're saved." Captain Rowan quietly smiled. The lighthouse never stopped shining. They simply couldn't see it. As the ship began following the golden path home, the sorrowful storm slowly dissolved into soft silver clouds. Sunlight returned to the ocean. The sea sparkled once again. Marina looked toward Mira. "You've learned the greatest lesson any keeper can know." Mira smiled. That even when someone loses their way, hope never stops looking for them. Far beyond the bright horizon, where the sea met the sky, a faint island of glowing mist appeared for just a heartbeat. Captain Rowan noticed it. He whispered with quiet wonder, "The sea has one final secret left to share." The island hidden by the morning mist. The sea was peaceful once again. The lost ship sailed safely toward the warm embrace of the lighthouse, its crew waving with grateful smiles. Captain Rowan, Mira, and Narina watched until the vessel disappeared beyond the cliffs. Orion released a deep, gentle song. The melody drifted across the ocean like a blessing. Mira smiled. I think he's happy. Narina nodded. He is. Every traveler who finds their way home adds another peaceful note to the sea's song. Just then, a cool breeze swept across the water. The compass of hope in Myra's hand began to glow once more. Instead of pointing toward the lighthouse, it turned slowly toward the east. Captain Rowan followed its direction. Far away, where the sea met the sky, a veil of silver mist floated gently above the waves. Within that mist, a faint outline of an island appeared. It was their one moment. On the next, the hidden isle, Captain Rowan whispered. My grandfather spoke of it, but no map has ever shown its shores. Narina smiled knowingly, because it is not found by searching. It appears only when the sea believes someone is ready. Orion gently changed course, carrying them toward the shimmering mist. As they drew closer, the air grew calm and cool. The sound of the waves faded until only birdsong remained. Then, the mist slowly opened. Before them lay an island unlike any they had ever seen. Its beaches shimmered with white sand that sparkled like tiny pearls. Crystal streams flowed through emerald green meadows. Ancient olive trees swayed gently in the breeze, their silver leaves catching the morning light. At the center of the island stood a towering lighthouse made entirely of pale blue crystal. Unlike every other lighthouse, its beacon shone downward instead of outward. Its light reached into the sea itself. Mira looked up in amazement. Why does its light shine into the water? An elderly man stepped quietly from the lighthouse doorway. He wore a robe the color of the morning sky. His long white beard moved gently in the breeze, and in his hand he carried a smooth wooden staff carved with tiny waves and stars. His kind eyes sparkled as he smiled. Because some travelers are not lost upon the sea, they are lost within themselves. Captain Rowan bowed respectfully. The keeper of the hidden isle. The old man nodded. I have waited many years for your arrival. He looked kindly at Mira, and especially for yours. Mira blinked in surprise. For me, the keeper smiled. The sea has watched your journey. It knows that one day you will become a light for others. He raised his wooden staff. At once, the crystal lighthouse glowed with a soft sapphire light. Its beam reached deep beneath the waves. Far below, countless tiny sea creatures began glowing in response. The entire ocean floor lit up like a sky full of stars. Mira watched with wonder. It looks like the night sky beneath the sea. The keeper nodded. The greatest lights do not shine only above us. Sometimes, they shine in the quiet places no one else can see. As the sapphire light spread farther into the deep, an ancient stone doorway slowly appeared beneath the clear water near the shore. Golden symbols shimmered across its surface. Narina took a slow breath. The Gate of Tides. It has been closed for centuries. The keeper looked toward the glowing doorway and smiled. And today, it is ready to open once more. The Gate of Tides. The ancient stone doorway rested beneath the crystal clear water. Golden symbols shimmered across its surface, glowing softly like tiny stars beneath the sea. No waves disturbed it. No current touched it. It waited in perfect silence. Mira stood at the water's edge, holding the compass of hope close to her heart. "It feels alive," she whispered. The keeper of the hidden isle smiled gently. "It has watched over the sea since the very first sunrise. It opens only when hearts are guided by kindness instead of fear." Captain Rowan stepped beside the old keeper. "I've sailed these waters for more than 50 years, and yet I never knew this place existed." The keeper looked toward the endless horizon. "Some places cannot be found with maps. They are found with compassion." Marina slowly raised her hand. At once, the sapphire beam from the crystal lighthouse grew brighter. Its light reached down to the gate of tides. One by one, the golden symbols began to glow. Tiny circles of light spread across the doorway like gentle ripples. Then, with a deep, peaceful hum, the ancient gate slowly opened. Instead of darkness beyond it, there was light, a warm, golden light that shimmered like the morning sun upon calm water. Mira gazed into the glowing passage. "It's beautiful." The keeper nodded. "It is called the Hall of Returning Waves. It is where every kind deed upon the sea is remembered forever." Together, they stepped through the ancient gate. Inside, they found a breathtaking underwater hall. The ceiling arched high above them, formed from crystal that reflected the colors of the ocean. Tall pillars of white coral lined the pathway. Thousands of glowing pearls floated gently through the air like tiny lanterns. Each pearl held a memory. As Mira reached toward one, it softly glowed. Inside, she saw a young sailor rescuing a frightened child during a storm. Another pearl revealed a fisherman returning a baby seal safely to its mother. Another showed strangers sharing food aboard a ship during a long voyage. Captain Rowan smiled. "The sea remembers every kindness." Marina nodded. "And it never forgets." At the end of the great hall stood a magnificent fountain. Instead of water, streams of pure light flowed gently from its center. Above the fountain floated a single shell unlike any other. It was enormous. Its surface shimmered with silver, blue, and gold. The keeper lowered his head respectfully. "The shell of echoes. It carries every grateful whisper ever spoken upon the sea." Just then, the shell slowly opened. A tiny glowing droplet of light floated into the air. It drifted gently toward Mira and settled in the palm of her hand. It felt warm, peaceful, almost like a heartbeat. "What is it?" she asked softly. The keeper smiled. "It is a drop of guiding light. It cannot brighten a room, but it can brighten a heart." At that very moment, the drop of guiding light merged with Myra's compass of hope. The silver feather transformed once more. Its edges shimmered with golden light, and at its center appeared a tiny glowing lighthouse. Captain Rowan looked on with pride. "You've become more than a traveler." The keeper nodded with a gentle smile. "Yes, she has become a keeper of hope." Far beyond the Hall of Returning Waves, a low, peaceful horn echoed through the ocean. Not a warning, but an invitation. Somewhere in the deep blue sea, an ancient ship, unseen for centuries, was beginning its slow journey back into the light. The ship that carried the first light. The deep, peaceful horn echoed once more through the hall of returning waves. Its sound was low and gentle, rolling through the water like a lullaby. Every glowing pearl in the hall shimmered at the same time. Captain Rowan looked toward the distant blue horizon beyond the ancient gate. I've never heard that sound before. The keeper of the hidden owl smiled softly. Very few have. It is the call of the first voyager. Mira held her newly transformed compass of hope close to her heart. The tiny lighthouse at its center glowed warmly. It wants us to follow, she whispered. Narina nodded. The sea remembers its oldest friends. Together, they stepped back through the gate of tides. Outside, the ocean had become perfectly still. Not a single wave disturbed its surface. The sky above glowed with soft shades of gold and pale blue as morning gently unfolded. Far across the water, a shape slowly emerged from the mist. At first, it looked like an ordinary sailing ship, but as it drifted closer, everyone fell silent. Its sails shimmered like woven moonlight. Its wooden hull glowed with warm amber light. Golden vines were carved along its sides, blooming with tiny crystal flowers. No wind filled its sails, yet it moved gracefully across the sea. Without sound, without effort, Captain Rowan removed his cap. His voice became almost a whisper. The Star Voyager. I thought it was only a legend. The magnificent ship stopped quietly beside the island. Its anchor lowered without making a splash. Then, the great wooden door upon its deck slowly opened. No captain appeared. No sailors greeted them. Instead, hundreds of tiny floating lanterns drifted gently into the morning air. Each lantern carried a soft golden flame. Mira watched them with wonder. They're beautiful. The keeper smiled. They are not ordinary lanterns. They hold the final thanks of every traveler who ever reached home safely. One tiny lantern floated toward Captain Rowan. Inside its gentle flame appeared the smiling faces of sailors he had rescued many years before. People whose names he could barely remember, yet they had never forgotten him. A quiet tear rolled down his cheek. I only did what anyone should have done. The keeper placed a gentle hand on his shoulder. True kindness never asks to be remembered, but it is. Another lantern drifted toward Mira. Inside, she saw herself helping the little sea turtle, guiding the lost ship, opening the gate of tides, and bringing hope wherever she had gone. The lantern glowed brighter before quietly joining the others above the sea. Soon, thousands of lanterns floated into the sky. They rose higher and higher until they looked like new stars shining in the daylight. The entire ocean sparkled beneath their golden reflections. Then the Star Voyager released one soft chime. A beautiful crystal bell hanging from its tallest mast rang gently in the morning breeze. Narina looked toward the endless horizon. The voyage isn't over. It has only reached its most important chapter, far beyond the peaceful sea, where the sky touched the edge of the world. A radiant harbor of light slowly appeared. Its shining docks stretched into the clouds. Its towers glowed like morning stars. Captain Rowan smiled with quiet awe. The harbor of new horizons. The place every lighthouse dreams of. And somewhere beyond its glowing gates, one final lesson was waiting to be shared. The harbor where every journey began. The Star Voyager sailed silently toward the radiant harbor at the edge of the world. Its glowing sails caught a wind no one could feel. The sea beneath them sparkled like liquid glass, reflecting the soft colors of dawn. Mira stood at the bow of the ship, holding her compass of hope. The tiny lighthouse at its center glowed brighter with every passing moment. "It feels like the sea is smiling," she whispered. Captain Rowan nodded. "It knows we're almost there." As they drew closer, the harbor slowly revealed itself. Its piers were carved from white crystal. Its towers shimmered with golden light. Instead of stone roads, gentle streams flowed through the harbor, carrying tiny glowing lilies that drifted peacefully toward the sea. Everywhere they looked, old lighthouses stood proudly along the shoreline. Some were tall, some were small, some were built of white stone, others of smooth gray granite. Yet every beacon shone with the same warm, welcoming light. Narina smiled softly. "This is the harbor of New Horizons, the first safe harbor ever created. Every lighthouse in the world carries a small part of its light." As the Star Voyager reached the dock, its anchor lowered without a sound. A graceful woman dressed in robes of white and gold stepped forward to welcome them. Her silver hair flowed like gentle waves, and around her neck hung a small lantern that glowed with a soft sunrise light. She bowed warmly. "Welcome. I am Lady Aurora, guardian of the harbor." Captain Rowan returned the bow. "It is an honor." Lady Aurora smiled. "The honor belongs to those who guide others." She looked at Mira, "and especially to those who discover their light while helping someone else." Mira blushed shyly. "I only did what felt right." Lady Aurora nodded. "And that is why you are here." She led them through a peaceful garden filled with white roses, blooming lavender, and gentle fountains whose water sparkled like stars. At the center of the garden stood a magnificent tree. Its trunk shimmered like polished pearl. Its branches stretched high into the morning sky. Instead of leaves, thousands of tiny lanterns hung from every branch. Each lantern glowed with its own unique light. "What is this tree?" Mira asked softly. Lady Aurora smiled. "This is the tree of guiding lights. Whenever someone helps another soul find hope, a new lantern blooms." Captain Rowan looked up in wonder. "There must be millions." Lady Aurora nodded. "And each one tells a story of kindness." Just then, one tiny lantern gently detached from the highest branch. It floated slowly down through the peaceful air, past the flowers, past the fountains, until it rested softly in Myra's hands. The little lantern glowed with warm golden light. Inside, she could see every moment of her journey, meeting Captain Rowan, helping the sea turtle, healing the heart pearl, opening the gate of tides, guiding the lost ship home. A single tear of joy rolled down her cheek. Lady Aurora smiled gently. "This lantern is yours, not because your journey is over, but because it has only just begun." At that very moment, the great bell at the center of the harbor rang once. Its peaceful sound echoed across every ocean. Far away, every lighthouse answered with a beam of golden light. The sea itself seemed to whisper with gratitude. Captain Rowan looked toward the endless horizon. He smiled. "There is still one final light waiting for us, far beyond the harbor of New Horizons, where the first rays of sunrise touched the heavens. A magnificent beacon began to shine brighter than all the others. It was calling them to the last chapter of their unforgettable voyage. The beacon that shined beyond the horizon. The peaceful sound of the harbor bell slowly faded into the morning breeze. For a moment, everything became wonderfully still. The sea rested like polished glass. The lantern in Myra's hands glowed softly, its golden light reflecting in her bright eyes. Lady Aurora looked toward the eastern horizon. The final beacon is awake. Captain Rowan followed her gaze. Far beyond the harbor of New Horizons, where the sea seemed to melt into the sky, a single tower of light rose higher than the clouds. It wasn't built of stone. It wasn't built of crystal. It was woven entirely from pure light. Golden, silver, and soft shades of dawn. Mira whispered, "It's beautiful." Lady Aurora smiled. "It is called the Beacon of Forever. It shines for every heart that has ever chosen hope." The Star Voyager gently left the harbor once more. Its glowing sails carried them across calm waters that sparkled beneath the growing sunrise. As they sailed, thousands of seabirds appeared overhead, not flying in flocks, but circling gracefully around the great beacon. Their white feathers drifted gently through the air like snow. Orion, the giant whale, rose beside the ship one final time. His peaceful song echoed across the sea. This time, the ocean answered. Every wave hummed softly. Every dolphin leaped joyfully. Every lighthouse along distant shores sent a warm beam toward the beacon. The world itself seemed to be singing. When they finally reached the great Tower of Light, there were no doors, no windows, only a wide staircase made of glowing clouds. Lady Aurora nodded gently. "Only those who carry kindness may climb." Captain Rowan smiled at Mira. "I think you should go first." Mira hesitated. "But I'm just an ordinary girl." The old keeper gently shook his head. "No, you're someone who chose kindness when no one asked you to. That makes all the difference." Holding her little lantern close, Mira stepped onto the glowing staircase. With every step, the lantern became brighter. Behind her, Captain Rowan's lantern shone as well. Narina's pearl necklace sparkled like tiny stars. Even Orion's silver markings glowed beneath the sea. At the very top waited a single crystal flame, unlike every light they had seen before. Its glow held every color of sunrise. It flickered gently, almost like it was breathing. Lady Aurora spoke softly. "This flame is never fed by oil. It grows brighter each time one heart helps another." Mira carefully lifted her lantern. The tiny flame inside floated upward. Captain Rowan's lantern released its light as well. Narina's sapphire glow joined them. Orion's peaceful song became a stream of shimmering silver light. Together, all four lights gently entered the crystal flame. Instantly, the beacon of forever blazed with breathtaking brilliance. Its light spread across every ocean, every coastline, every island, every quiet harbor. In distant villages, children looked out their windows and smiled without knowing why. Lonely sailors felt hope return to their hearts. Old lighthouse keepers quietly whispered, "The light is stronger tonight." Captain Rowan watched the golden rays stretch across the endless sea. His eyes filled with peaceful tears. The light was never ours to keep. Lady Aurora nodded. It was always ours to share. Just then, the crystal flame revealed one final vision. Far beyond the horizon, another small lighthouse appeared upon a distant island. Its lantern was dark. Its keeper was waiting. Mira smiled softly. "I think our next journey has already begun." The sea answered with one gentle whisper. And somewhere beyond the morning light, a new story was waiting to be told. Part 16, Finale, The Light That Never Fades. The first rays of sunrise touched the beacon of forever. Its magnificent light stretched across every ocean, every harbor, and every distant shore. The sea sparkled like a blanket of tiny diamonds. For a long moment, no one spoke. Captain Rowan, Mira, Marina, Lady Aurora, and Orion simply watched the beautiful morning unfold. It felt as though the entire world had paused to welcome a new day. Lady Aurora smiled gently. The beacon has accepted your journey. Mira looked at the glowing lantern in her hands. Its flame had changed. It no longer burned with golden light alone. Tiny shades of blue from the sea, silver from the moon, and warm amber from the lighthouse all danced together inside it. It feels different, she whispered. Lady Aurora nodded. It now carries every lesson you've learned. Captain Rowan stepped beside Mira. You came here searching for a mystery, but you leave carrying something much greater. Mira looked toward the endless sea. What is it? The old keeper smiled warmly. Hope. At that moment, the crystal flame released thousands of tiny sparks into the morning sky. Each spark drifted gently across the oceans. Some became new lighthouse lights. Some became guiding stars above lonely seas. Others quietly settled inside the hearts of people who had almost given up. Far away, a fisherman smiled for no reason as he welcomed the sunrise. A frightened child sleeping aboard a ship finally found peaceful dreams. An elderly sailor, sailing home after many months away, suddenly felt certain he would soon see his family again. None of them knew why, but the beacon did. Kindness always finds its way. The Star Voyager slowly turned toward the harbor of New Horizons. Its voyage was complete. As the ship reached the quiet shore, Orion sang one final song. The melody floated across the sea like the gentlest lullaby. Then the great whale bowed his enormous head to Mira. She gently placed her hand upon his silver-marked skin. Thank you, she whispered. Orion's kind eyes sparkled. With one graceful movement, he disappeared beneath the calm blue water, leaving only a circle of shimmering light behind. Marina smiled. The sea never says goodbye. It simply says, until our paths meet again. Lady Aurora walked with Captain Rowan and Mira back to the harbor. There, beside the pier, stood a small wooden chest carved with waves, stars, and tiny lighthouses. She opened it. Inside rested a beautiful brass lantern, smaller than Captain Rowan's, but crafted with the same care. Lady Aurora lifted it carefully and offered it to Mira. This lantern belongs to you. It does not ask you to guard a tower. It asks you to become a light wherever life takes you. Mira accepted it with both hands. I promise to help those who feel lost, to choose kindness even when no one is watching, and to remember that the smallest light can guide someone through the darkest night. As she finished speaking, the lantern glowed with a peaceful golden flame. Captain Rowan smiled proudly. The sea has chosen its newest keeper of hope. The morning sun climbed higher into the sky. One by one, the magical places began to fade. The harbor of New Horizons disappeared into soft mist. The Star Voyager quietly sailed beyond the horizon. The island where every lighthouse began became hidden once more. Only the familiar lighthouse upon the cliffs remained. Captain Rowan and Mira stood together at its doorway. That evening, as the sun slipped below the sea, they climbed the winding staircase together. Captain Rowan gently turned the great crystal lens. Mira carefully lit the lantern. A warm golden beam stretched across the quiet ocean. Far in the distance, a tiny ship answered with a single flash of light. Someone had found their way home. Captain Rowan smiled. The lighthouse is whispering again. Mira listened carefully. She smiled as the waves carried a familiar message across the sea. No matter how far you wander, there will always be a light waiting to guide you home. And from that night onward, every traveler who saw the lighthouse shining above the cliffs felt a quiet peace in their heart. Because they were not simply following a beacon, they were following kindness, hope, and the gentle whisper of a light that would never fade. The end. Sweet dreams. Full sleep stories on Golden Haven. Subscribe for peaceful nights.